Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast.
We are here with Brian
Today
Mills.
we are here with Brian Mills.
You sound like a horrible
echo.
Yeah.
That's what twins do.
I imagine that's what's just going on in your mind every time one of
Right.
you talks.
Yeah.
It's almost a war, like, get out of my head.
Or if we don't say it at the same time.
Right. We have Brian Mills on the podcast today with us.
AKA the son of Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR racer.
He does look like Jimmy Johnson.
Striking resemblance. That means you're a handsome guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't have the Jimmy Johnson money.
That you know of.
Hey,
that I know of. Yeah.
Touche,
Hey,
sir.
touche.
Touche.
This is the Universal Strangers edition. And today we are going to know Brian a little more.
We're just going to deep dive a little deeper. Right?
That sounded a little creepy. You know what it sounded like? You could do like that whole theatrical thing for people doing movie trailers.
Yeah. What's that? I know it's a famous guy that does that.
Yeah.
He has
We're
that
just
voice.
going to dig a little more.
Yeah. I'm not even going to wear scuba equipment. I'm going to see how far we can go.
I'm going to hold my breath.
Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just go down there and succumb to the water and the infinite abyss.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's up, Brian, man?
What's
Hey,
up?
guys.
Yeah.
Don't let us,
Sometimes you got to tell us too, just knock that shit off.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Just,
Yeah.
Just it'll snowball into things that people are just like, what are we even watching at this point?
Right.
We need somebody in here with the bell. We need a monkey in here with a bell
Yeah.
to tell us time out.
Right.
What is that you do?
Yeah.
Time out. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Can you do it, B?
I'll just,
There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
I like
yeah.
that.
throw it up there for you guys.
Yeah. All right.
Now you're
What's up,
you're
man?
playing our game.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? Where's the Brian train headed?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Usually an introduction short and sweet. My name is Brian, and, we met hunting bourbon, and now months later, here we are.
Yeah.
Not much about me.
Oh, that's bullshit. I'm sure there's much about you. Typically, the ones that say not much about me are the ones like hiding bodies in their closet or something.
Yeah. Something a little more sinister.
Maybe that was too morbid.
Yeah. I don't know.
What? I mean, there's got to be something going on with you, man. What's up? Talk to us.
Not much, man. Glad to be here. Glad that we talked about this for a couple months, and you guys mentioned getting this started. And now,
Yeah.
Here
a couple
it is.
episodes deep,
Yeah.
few episodes deep. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
Exciting.
funny that how we met. The first couple of guys that we've actually become friends with here in this lovely state is Bill and Brian over bourbon. It's just funny how people can meet over a shared interest.
Right.
Yeah. So when we met Brian at the same store that we met Bill, Brian walks in, and I go, this guy's either curious or he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I'm developing a man crush on this dude I don't even know.
Yeah.
Which turned out you guys had already saw him before.
Yeah. So I think it was a week or maybe 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
The wife and I noticed you in the store looking around. But I thought you were kind of being a little weird, dude. You were like going around the aisles, looking at me, looking at you, looking at her, looking at you, looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I think he's like trying to gather information.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I was.
He's
Yeah, 'cause
like-
I haven't been to that store very often, so I was trying to eye down if you guys knew something I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So what
but
you're saying, he was ear hustling.
Right. But we never said anything to you. It was just kind of like this unsaid thing. And I was like, oh, okay, that was probably a bourbon hunter, you know.
It was
But
like a mutual agreement where we both knew.
Right,
We all knew
right.
what was going on.
Yeah, but I don't think I knew we would see you again in 2 weeks and it would turn into this.
Yeah, but as synchronicity would have it, I would have my turn in sharing that experience when he walked into the
Right.
store.
Right.
Yeah.
It was almost like maybe the universe was saying, you were supposed to talk to that dude. Why didn't you? Okay, I'll give you another chance, but your brother's going to have this encounter. Let's see what he does with it, you know?
And of course, I make something of it. I'm that guy. I connect people.
Yeah, you
do.
did.
I got a great business card too. It always seems to work. Yeah.
Worked on me.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It was easy.
But what about it so you get around because of your job? You do the auditing stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When you go out and you bourbon hunt, do you ever meet people like that, where it becomes this, it snowballs into this?
I haven't yet really. I mean, aside from you two, I've met one or two others who've, invited me to a Facebook group or something, but not, I don't know, not like this, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But there are still a lot of great people in like the bourbon hunting community that are willing to share and talk and have a conversation for 10, 20 minutes, and they just kind of split off and go their way.
right, yeah. But what about our interaction? Do you think was different? Get that mic a little closer, TB. Yeah, there you
There we
go.
go.
Yeah, get
Yeah.
intimate with that thing. It's all right.
It feels that way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I
Getting to
said
know
the
it.
same thing. This thing
Yeah.
is in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, not used to that.
No.
Yeah, it was different right off the bat because like there was general interest in people outside of bourbon
Right.
when I met you too. Like it was about what you guys are planning to do in the future with dreams and goals, but also like, hey, we also really enjoy bourbon. We can bond over this, but there's so much more to it,
Right.
And like
Yeah.
that just clicked, like,
Yeah.
and I think you guys have probably mentioned on the podcast too, the few episodes I've seen, you kind of know when you meet somebody with the same wavelength, like
Right.
you guys obviously on that same wavelength all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But when you meet that like another person like that, you're like, oh, this guy gets it.
Right.
Or she
Yeah.
gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Is it hard when you go out and do your job? Because you got to first tell them what you do for a living. And I'm going to touch on that as far as like picking up on the vibration.
Yeah. So I'm a field auditor for an insurance company. I audit insurance policies. They're, based on estimates, and I go get the real numbers. And sometimes that results in a bill, and sometimes that results in a refund to the insured, the customer. But with that, I meet anywhere from 5 to 25 new people a week that I'm working with, and I get all different types of people, different backgrounds, perspectives on my job, on life, and there's some interesting wavelengths I get to encounter.
Right. Yeah. I would have to imagine when the auditor shows up, people are like, oh, great. I don't want to deal with this guy.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
You're the guy that they avoid, like Jehovah's Witness coming to the door. Everybody like jumps behind the couch and, everybody shut up, get down.
Yeah. I mean, but would that entail you like all day long getting negative feelings over positive feelings?
I would say no, not all day long. It's usually like once or twice a week I'll get someone neutral to negative. Otherwise, it's like people just kind of know, they've done it a year after year, so they understand that it's just a part of the process,
Right.
which is good.
Right.
And I try to come with a reach of understanding and like explain what I'm doing and how it makes a difference and yada, yada, yada to make it easier.
Right.
That's interesting.
And it probably dictates on that person's mood when they got to like prepare themselves. I don't want to be a dick today, when he gets there, because it's totally probably going to ruin something for me. Right.
I mean, it could have an impact. Yeah, definitely. But that's also why I schedule 2 or 3 weeks in advance so they know and can prepare and be
Oh,
ready
you
for
give
it.
them time to stew in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Well, they got to prepare the documents I need,
oh,
too.
okay,
So,
yeah, you don't
Right.
want them there last minute scrambling.
No.
But like, do you ever go into an establishment and nothing's really been said yet, and you just pick up on like a fear or like a negative energy?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, especially some newer companies I've been to, like that have been audited too many times before, and they just hear the word audit, and they're like, I got to make sure I have everything from the last 5 years on standby in case you need it. And they're just stressed out,
Right.
Yeah.
panicking. I'm like, it's not that serious.
Now, what tells you they're stressed, panic, or there's like a negative feeling? Like, I know there's no words being said, so you're picking up on it, but what kind of visuals are you getting?
Usually like tense, like body language, easy to read, right? Tense
Right.
body language, not breaking eye contact because they just want to make sure they're doing exactly what you're saying and listening to every word. And I feel like there's like an aura of people, you kind of like sense it sometimes.
Right.
Right.
Like when you walk into a room of relaxed people having a good time, it's a different feeling when you're walking into a courtroom and the people are all kind of tense and jittery and nervous. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Is it more like, I know for law enforcement officers, you can do spirit of the law and letter of the law. I learned that in the academy.
Right. Yeah.
So it's up to the officer to.
Yeah, it's officer discretion.
Okay, so with an auditor, is there like a spirit to like what you're doing, or a letter, or if you see someone that's like, I can't just hit these people this way.
Like the violation is so bad,
I would allow a loophole for this, or I just know that these people are so positive and trying to go in the right area. I'm not going to hit them in this direction.
With the company I work for, we do have a little more of a common sense approach to things, right? You know, if there's effort being made or proof or whatever due diligence being put in, we can kind of give an exception or accommodation, usually on like a 1-year basis. But I mean, we're regulated by federal and state law too. So as you know, there's some things you can't offer to somebody, not offer to everybody, or vice versa. But company I work for is great in that sense, where we have common sense. You know, we're here to help them out and do the best we can. So
do you have that guy who's like the Gestapo of like auditing, like thou shalt not pass, like he's just going to ruin your day,
Right.
Like,
I don't know if on my team we do, but other companies, some of the bigger companies that are all about efficiency and numbers, I mean, that's them. You know, that's the mindset. Is like, get in there, yes, no, get it done.
See, I think that's like a disconnect. Like, we're human, man. We make mistakes, or we're not on time with certain things, like being lenient toward one another. You would think that'd be a common thing, but yeah, it is a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we've talked about for capitalism at its finest is just people getting to the end result, not taking a second to interact with the human and understand.
Yeah. You ever get on a job like, this is way too big. I cannot do this by myself. I need backup. I think there's some funny business going on. You got monkeys filing this stuff away? What's going on?
I haven't exactly been in that situation. There's been some times where
Oh, so you're saying you're badass. You don't need help.
I had good training.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I like how
that was
you
a good
share
recovery.
That. Yeah, you share that, my good sir. Yeah, to your boss watching this maybe right now.
I'm gonna send him the link.
Yeah, he just give a good shout out. You're a good dude, sir.
Yeah. But I have been in situations, even when I'm like at the customer's place, where I'll call my boss or message him and say, hey, I don't know how to handle this, or hey, this is going on. What should I do? Because there are some people that, and I haven't seen a fraud case yet, but we have a full and special investigations unit that's all they're looking for. So it does happen.
And they find it, I imagine. Like, they're not there for that's like the red phone, right? So you never had to pick up the red phone and be like, hey, look, I got some bullshit going on here.
Thankfully, not yet.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with someone that was just at their lowest, like they were just defeated? They were just, this is going to be bad.
I haven't, but I know of an auditor who has had to, their audit put them out of business.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Damn.
But no fault to the company I work for or to the customer, but their agent who helps broker everything didn't set them up right, and a couple years into things, got a huge bill for something that wasn't set up correctly, and it pretty much took out all their assets, and that's tough. I mean, thankfully, I didn't have to deal with that, but I know the auditor who did, and that's something you don't want to do, but you have to submit it.
Right.
It's the proof is there; it's in the pudding, and it's like if you don't kind of do your job, you could have backlash from falsifying information or misrepresentation of information.
Right.
So.
I wonder how that feels, like a career, like you pulled the trigger on someone and the impact of that bullet was career death. And that person has to live with it.
Oh, yeah, but not just
Could it
them,
be
but
looked at as the same thing? Like how does it impact an auditor if you had a hand in shutting the business down? Does it look like man, I just ruined a families, and I could have done something about it? Or is it like, this is my job? I don't go too deep into it like that.
Personally, it would hurt me. I think it would hurt me bad and remove my incentive to work. Like my motivation, it would lessen it, knowing that that's the kind of impact I have on people and families. I'm sure there's some auditors that don't ever think about it. They just do their job, turn in their numbers, and move on. Don't think about it. But I try to keep it on a personal level and get involved with our customers and like clients and just people, because I've met some great people.
Right.
Do the job. And yeah, if I had to do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to recover. I'd have to take some time and
Because you're like what, 26 now?
yeah.
Yeah. So you think if you were younger, when you had that ego monkey on your shoulder, I mean, because we all had the monkey there. Do you
Yeah.
think you would like totally be all the book, 100%?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been to that point where I've just full blown drove past feelings and emotions.
Or even outside the job, like in life general. Have you ever come across, have you ever treated someone just like, oh, my ego says this, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah. That happens to all of us.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But so, at what point do you think you changed from that, or what made you change, or like,
Or did you even change?
bring it to the forefront?
I kind of still feel like it's still with most of us.
Yeah.
But you humble it though. Obviously, he's got his monkey is behind a cage a little bit.
Yeah.
You can tell he just like barely lets him out.
Right.
Yeah. What made you put your monkey in the cage, sir?
I really think so. I went to college and I was a resident advisor. So I oversaw 40 students, freshmen, 2 years in a row, my sophomore and junior year. And I had to deal with some things I didn't ever want to deal with on a college campus. And it's like, and some are great. I got to interact with D1 athletes all the time and hang out with them and hear their experience, which is awesome. But I got to see some things I weren't.
Like what?
You wanna
Go
share?
on. Let's go.
Uh,
Let's dive in,
yeah,
brother.
there's some things I legally don't know if I can share.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
They're all in the past now.
yeah, like for example, my first night on the job, there was one of our star athletes, football players. He came in with vomit all over himself, from partying and drinking. And it was like his birthday, and he was just drinking, having a good time in college. But when he walked in, like he looked unwell, so we like took him to side, and he'd go to the hospital, have his stomach pumped. But that's that ego.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm a big, strong football player. I run campus. I'm a hot shot here. I'm guessing that's what drove that decision into something bad. So
Yeah.
seeing small things like that time after time,
Yeah.
puts the monkey in his cage a little bit.
Yeah.
Right,
Because you see
yeah.
how people act when they try to meet that standard or fit that icon. Yeah, I'm the football player. All these students look up to me. I got to win games, but I also got to put myself out there to be this partier. The ego, he encourages that liquid courage.
But is it ego or is it just ignorance of dumb man? 'Cause men can be dumb as hell.
I don't know.
How do we distinguish ego from just a dumbass Neanderthal man?
I don't know, man.
I think I just raised another question.
You
there.
did, man. I mean, it's well, I guess that's what he was trying to say is like if you're learning about these situations, so you're teaching yourself.
Right.
I don't want to be like that, or I need to show more
But
compassion.
I just
in this
think
situation.
sometimes it's not always ego. I just think it's just us being ignorant to certain things.
Yeah,
But my answer to both of those questions would be similar, though. Seeing the ignorance repetitively is also kind of influencing the ego.
right. You're learning from it.
Yeah, like that's something I don't want to go towards. So shut the ego up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Put it in its place.
Yeah.
And are you religious?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your denomination, if you don't
Yeah.
mind me asking?
It's really non-denominational. I've kind of been in between churches the last couple of years since like moving from Cleveland to Northwest Ohio, that kind of thing. So I don't really have a denomination. I really
What's
stick
your
to.
what's your concept of like God?
It's a good question, and I've thought about this a lot. I've got a good like Bible study group that we kind of focus more on spirituality than just
Right.
religion. Just the practice of going to church and singing songs and not sinning, quote unquote. But yeah, I think that's my ideology of it is being more spiritual. The relationship with someone greater than yourself, which is
Yeah.
really a relationship with yourself, and that whole journey and path is kind of what I've found myself navigating towards and like finding more comfort in.
Yeah, like healing yourself first and finding that inner
Yeah,
Brian Mills, that inner Jimmy Johnson first.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Got to find Jimmy.
So it's not per se you believe that there's, well, I would say not all, but most think that there's just like this presence. He hangs out in the clouds or whatever they think, this, and that he sits around and he, judges you on everything you do. And you have to go and repent and you can't sin. And if you don't believe in him, you'll burn in hell. How do you feel about that outlook?
I definitely still think I have some belief in that, the whole idea of it generally. But I think there's too much societal focus in church now that it's too much of that. It's too much finger waving, too much none of this, all of that.
Yeah.
And not enough like inner work, because that's where you dig deep and you find out why you feel the way you do, or why you think the way you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the spirituality the church needs to push, or anywhere, just like you guys have a kind of universal look at things.
Right.
And in your journey in pursuit of that, you're digging into yourself a lot more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think, when we say universe or source, I'm thinking no matter what you believe in, if you think there's something greater than you that's at hand, we've all identified it as something that's better than us, that we are trying to aspire to.
Right.
I think even if you were born into this world with a clean slate, you didn't know anything about anything, I would still believe you would come to a conclusion that there's still something more to you than you know. And you could feel it. And you would have this, I would like to believe you would have this feeling that something's watching you. Or maybe it's not a thing, but the all is watching you.
Yeah.
And you have to tread lightly in some form or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree with that. Like, because there's so many possibilities, right? You could think of a plethora of possibilities, but for me, I would just like to imagine that there is no wrong, like with this life. You can't do no wrong. You're trying to find your way in something that's so hard. And like you always say, we don't have an instruction manual, but we leave ourselves these clues, whether it be the Bible or if you're universal or spiritual. We leave ourselves these clues on some positive paths that we can take. You know what I mean? And how it will affect others around you. Meaning, like, there is no scorecard for every individual human. It's all about what you're doing with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, are you trying to dig inward and find those hidden agendas about yourself? And how, by not healing yourself first, how could you even begin to help someone else?
Yeah.
Like, I just think we're all on this cosmic train and we're just trying to do our best and make sense out of it and just go along with the ride. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think a lot about that. Something I hear thrown around is, why do people believe in a God and put so much faith into the sins, the sin part of it? And it's like, yeah, I get that, because you're almost penalizing yourself. It's like you make yourself believe that those are sins, and then you feel bad and you feel guilt and shame.
Yeah.
But I look at it as, if you don't hold yourself to some standard, let it be the 10 Commandments or whatever, then maybe you're kind of getting lost into places you don't want yourself to go.
Right.
So it's almost like guardrails. I use that term a lot, having guardrails in your life to kind of form a path you want to go.
Right.
But if that's not the path you want or believe in, then you can set your guardrails
to whatever you believe in. And I believe the universe, God, source, does that for us. It tailors itself to your belief because it knows, it knows that eventually, sooner or later, you all come back to me regardless. Yeah. So play your shit. Play your hands that you're dealt. You don't, and I like that you don't have to believe in it. I love that you have the freedom of that. It's like what I would imagine a God or that presence to be. He would have no outside influences on it. I'm going to give you the best experience that you could ever possibly have with no set precursor.
But a lot of it will be free will.
Yeah, all of it free will.
You experience it how you want to experience it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to
just know when you come home, that's just pure love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I won't judge one thing.
Right. You'll create
that.
those constructs
Yeah.
on your own.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And did you want to ask a question first before I ask
I
mine?
did.
I want to kind of share some of this airtime.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and ask the question.
Because I'm going to take it somewhere else.
I didn't feel like I was an airtime hog.
Well, I felt like I'm like hogging some of the questions.
Oh. So you saying I need to ask more questions?
Oh, well, I'm just inviting you to ask more questions.
Okay. Well, allow me to retort.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt, how do I put this? Any type of divine intervention, like you found yourself in a hairy situation and you said to something, God or whatever, get me out of this right now. I'll not do bourbon buying for a week. Or, you made this deal that you're not going to live up to. And instantaneously, something miraculous happened.
I mean, nothing comes to mind right off the
Okay.
bat. Not super serious. I'm sure there's been situations
Right.
where I'm like, oh, I don't want to get caught doing this.
Yeah.
God, please do this, and I'll never drink again.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like when
Right.
I'm younger, drinking underage. It's like,
Yeah.
don't let that be my mom coming downstairs. Or
Yeah.
hope that's not the cops outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you exist now, please, now's the time to
Show
intervene.
yourself.
Yeah. Please
Right.
save me. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing major. What about like, it doesn't have to be major, I guess. What about something insignificant? You were like, I just need this to go right. And then, maybe it wasn't instant, but it went right. And you're like, wait a minute, what really just happened here? It left you questioning this reality.
Yeah. I mean, there was a point in time where I had my eyes set on a certain job or internship or something in college, and I was like asking for that to happen. I'm like, oh, this would be, I'm going to do this, and it's going to lead me to great places. And I didn't get it, but it led me to the next one,
Right.
and I got like the same thing technically I wanted. And I looked back, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I asked for this, and I didn't exactly get it, but I still got it.
Right.
Right.
And
So
it's like,
you were manifesting, but you didn't want to believe that you were manifesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some divine intervention there or something, moving the chess pieces a little bit.
Right. Where
Like,
you
it
were
was
like,
my-
ooh, that's strange.
Yeah, like it was my free will to pick and choose that route.
Right.
Right.
But there was still a little something else in there guiding the pieces.
I'm a big proponent in that, and we can manifest
Yeah.
things in our lives.
And we could control our destiny,
Yeah. Like it's like we're allowed it, so much room. You can deviate outside of it so far, but it kind of like keeps you on the path as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my big moment, or I've had many significant moments where I asked for help and I got it instantaneously. The biggest one is when I met my wife. I mean, it was scary. And then sooner or later, I'm going to get her on that couch and she's going to tell all of you people about the dreams she had about me before we even met. But one of the biggest moments where I asked for help and it came instantaneous, I was a brand new EMT, fresh out of school in LA City. And I mean, we're in the shit,
Sounds busy.
Yeah.
right? And I'm on a 72-hour shift. And I'm about 23 years old.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of the night. We were running calls all day. I'm on a 911 car, and I won't share the name of the company, but we get to bed like at 1 a.m, and then my dispatcher comes running in, and he's like, "Dude, you guys got to get to Compton really quick." And we're based out of Lomita, which is next to Carson in California. And I'm like, "Oh no, what's going on?" And he was like, "Dude, just get in your rig, and I'll send you, I'll send you the information."
Just the Daniel Freeman.
No.
Okay.
So we hop in the rig, and like from Lomita to Compton is pretty far. So I knew it was pretty bad if there wasn't a closer responding unit, right? So we hop on the freeway, and normally on the freeway, you can't go lights and sirens. unless you absolutely have to. And it's 1 a.m. We went blazing. And it took us like 10 minutes. And I'm getting the information and on the MDT, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a drive-by shooting with multiple victims, right? And as soon as we get there, one of the cops and the medic, like it's like 4 fire crews there, like 6 or 7 different ambulance companies. And as soon as we get there, one of the medics opened my door and was just like, dude, get your trauma bag, get your gurney, hurry up, because we're running out of rigs that's not showing up. And so they bring the patient to us, and it's a 7-year-old black female, right? And she got a bullet hole or a gunshot wound to her chest. And I'm new. I'm freaking out. And I'm just like, one, I'm stunned because of how small she was. And I was like, oh no, right? I can't get this from my first trauma call. It wasn't my first, but it was my first major trauma call. We get her in the ambulance. He was like, head to Centinela ER, get there fucking quick. And so I think it was Art, I can't be sure. He drove, and one of the medics was in the back with me, and he was telling Art, man, you need to get there. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Because I'm still like shell shocked, right? And I remember seeing this young woman on the gurney. The first thing I asked for was I was like, and I really wasn't in tune to my religion. So the only thing I can recall to call upon, I was like, please God, let this girl make it. And then the medic was like, dude, put your finger in her chest. I got to get this occlusive dressing, because he was going to make a flutter valve for her. Mm-hmm. He was like, just put your finger, we got to stop this. There was no way they could, I think it was so many victims too. So I did it, and just seeing her breathe shallow and then look at me, and she was in so much pain, dude. And I was just like, oh my God, this is not happening. The medic walked me through it. He kind of sensed I was going shell shock. He made the flutter valve. That's when I learned how to do occlusive dressings. Mm-hmm. Like, I learned so much. I was storing away, didn't realize what I was learning. When we got to the ER, she was stable. We had a hard time getting the line for the IV. Arch driving like a maniac. And as soon as we get to the hospital, the doctors looked at her immediately, looked at her vitals, looked at the EKG, and was like, oh, she's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. You know, like that to me was an instant gratification. And then that's when I was like, did something hear me? You know, where I can honestly say I was really puzzled as to, I think there's something on the other side we can't see. And I got so many stories about that, but I think that was the one thing that made me identify, okay, there's something more to us humans. And there is something on the other side of this fabric. We just can't see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, I agree with that 100%, but I actually got to get outside of the norm and, you know, peek around the corner. So yeah, I agree.
Right.
But that's a crazy story.
Right.
Yeah, that's heavy.
And
for a young age too.
Yeah. And I don't I remember my first trauma, but it was nothing like that.
Right.
I think I had a heart attack.
But not just your first trauma, like when you called on something.
Yeah, when you called on something. I'm trying to like see, you know, if I can remember if I ever did that where it was bad enough to where I would just, you know, like you, I didn't have that type of religion. I was just, it's going to be okay. I'm going to do my best to make sure this person gets there. Yeah, I just can't remember if I ever really reached out and just asked for help like that. The only thing that overcomes all of my episodes is my NDE. It just, that to me was my validation.
But what about getting through the hardest sheriff's academy in the nation? Did you ever call on something and say, hey, get me through this?
I didn't, but I called on myself a lot. I would really like pep talk myself to getting up in the morning to go back to that place that I dreaded so much. And the wife helped too.
Right.
She would do things, I wanted this like Toyota Tundra.
Yeah.
And she would do things like get a picture of the Tundra and put it like on our door. So every morning when I got up, I saw it, and she was like, "You're working towards that. I will get you there one way or another." And I remember breaking down crying one morning because the stress was just that bad.
Yeah, you called me too. You were like,
I was like, I'm done.
you were like, do not go to this academy.
Forget. And at the time, the sheriff's department that I went to in Southern California was like, I want to say probably one of the top 5, top 10 in the nation as far as one of the most difficult academies. And it was tough because I'd never been through like a
military type.
Yeah, military type boot camp, and they were parallel. I just forget the name of what they say, like how they call it, but man, it was so stressful, man. It was just running and memos and the yelling. And I had shin splints, and every time we ran these 5 miles up and down hills, it felt like, my legs were fractured, and I was just it was just nonstop. So I had to like really, really dig deep. And I would talk to myself on my way down to the academy. I would say, we got to do this.
Right.
We've started this. This is probably the hardest thing we have ever done. I got to see this through, because if I quit, I know it'll eat me alive for a very, very long time. Right. So I literally treated every day just like that. I'm just going to get myself through this day. I'm not even going to worry about what they're going to do to us tomorrow. And I think that helped. And because it was a 6-month ordeal.
Wow.
When it got to month 5 and my legs were getting better and my lungs were able to take these runs, and I was so in shape, and so my like mental fortitude had been hardened, like Japanese steel, my friend. I was on top of the world because I said, I could do this. I got myself through this shit. Right.
So you didn't really call on a figure or an entity. Just called on yourself.
Because at the end of the day, I knew that was all that I could rely on, that would be there right then and now.
Right.
In my mind.
Right.
Because I have to do this. This is something I have to do. This is one of these lessons that I need to say, I could do this.
Right.
I can conquer this stress. I can conquer this problem. And I know other guys at the academy, they were going through the same thing, but they all hit it. Like, it was testosterone written. You would never cry in front of, 20, 30 deputies. I'm sure people had their breakdowns.
Right.
I'm sure those drill instructors at one point had their breakdowns. It's like you have to just conquer things. I felt like on my own. Now, could that have come from a divine presence to give me that, to muster up that energy to talk to myself? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who's to say? You know what I mean?
What about, what's the biggest hurdles you had in life?
Gosh, nothing that tough, I don't think.
Well, it doesn't have to be that tough. It's your own experience of what you think tough.
And you're young yet. You're 26. You may have not gotten there yet, but,
Dude, we're in our 40s. Like, so you got time for tougher.
Yeah.
What's your biggest hurdles now, in the past, now? Maybe something's coming up that you're like dreading. I don't know.
I can't think of anything going forward really, but I mean, getting through college wasn't super difficult, but finding a job after and navigating that, and then kind of making the decision to move back to Northwest Ohio, where my family is located and a lot of my friends. So I want to say it was a challenge, right? Like a pros and cons list. What's more important versus kind of what my ego wanted. I wanted to live in Cleveland and experience the sports and be downtown and hang out with friends. But it's like, is that really what's going to fulfill life, as opposed to being closer to family and some actual like deeper rooted friendships? So that was more of a learning experience, but a challenge. I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been times that school got tough. Making grades or earning scholarships is tough, but it's nothing like, I don't know, nothing crazy.
What about this? What about this past relationship? You wanna go into that, buddy?
We can hover on that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, because the last we spoke, I don't know, I thought things were good, but
yeah. So that was, last time we saw each other was
Like 2 months ago.
Had to be like 3 months ago.
Let's start with her name. Let's start with her name.
No, I don't want to put her name out
No,
there.
you don't want to put her name out there?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Now let's.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
What are you
All right.
doing?
I just want to get in it.
We'll get in it without the girl's name.
If it wasn't as fresh,
Give
me
me a fictitious name.
Jeez.
Something good too. Don't hold back.
Gosh.
Come on, B. It's a name.
I'll give you one. Let's just go with Griselda.
I like Griselda.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Onward.
I was
Griselda.
thinking Sally. But
Okay,
Okay,
Sally.
let's go with Sally then. You know, I was
It's common. Everybody knows a Sally. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
yeah. So yeah, Sally and I broke up.
Then let's not start there.
Ooh.
Let's start when you met.
Ooh,
I want to know the connection.
that's right.
It actually is kind of crazy how it's connected because she grew up in a town 15 minutes away from me, but we didn't meet until senior year of college, really. And I knew her, like I'd seen her at college parties and stuff. We studied abroad together for a few weeks senior year between winter and spring semester. Kind of got to know each other there, came back to the States, and then St. Patrick's Day, we were at a bar, and I came up and started talking to her, and we were drunk, and it was St. Patrick's Day. We were not all there mentally.
Right.
But a few days later, she starts like texting me and Snapchatting me, and then it just kind of kicked off easy in there. You know, started hanging out. It was good. It was easy. We had a lot of similar interests. We were both graduating. Had 2 similar friend groups, and just all kind of was smooth. You know, moved together easy.
Right.
But then it got tough because I already had a job lined up in Cleveland, and she wasn't sure where she was going to be. So for almost 2 years, year and a half, she lived in Northwest Ohio. I lived in Cleveland. So we did the long distance 3-hour thing for a while. We made it work, and then COVID hit, obviously, a couple of years ago. And that was like almost like a good window for us to be together more because I could go stay with her. She could come stay at my place. It was easy. We didn't have to worry about the weekend to weekend thing. But then I moved to where she lived, Findlay, Ohio. And it was good. It was pretty good. We moved in together eventually. And got to a point a few months ago where it was just time.
Right.
There were some things internally that I'm dealing with and, figuring out at 26, fighting that ego and stuff that I don't think I didn't deal with before, didn't have come up in life. So I made the decision to go, on my own path here.
So so you're saying the decision wasn't mutual. It was more based on you.
Yeah, it was on me, really.
Yeah.
I think she understands the decision, but didn't support it, of course. I mean,
Right.
to a point. It's not what she wanted.
Yeah. What about, well, it takes 2 to tango. Like,
It does.
we know that, right? But
And as hard as it is to keep going in a relationship that's hard, it's also hard to make that decision to not do so. At what point do you realize comfortable versus what's right or what's going to be healthy long term, fulfilling?
right. What do you think about your ego that was holding back the relationship? Like when you would fight, and let's just say it'll be your fault, or maybe shared, but more so your fault, and your ego jumped in the way and was like, we're not going to apologize. We're better than that. We're Brian Mills.
Yeah, that happens.
We're going to posture up. We're going to throw our attitude and sit here and grudge and say nasty things to each other.
And we're going to fester.
And we're going to fester in it.
Yeah.
Because I'm the ego.
Yeah. Was it kind of like that?
There wasn't a ton of that, but there were some, like the ego talks. It doesn't want to be vulnerable. It wants to be in control and like, okay, whatever it is, what it is. When deep down, it's like, that ain't it.
Right.
That ain't it.
Right.
But there was some of that. I mean, nothing crazy. I'm not a very easily angered person, so I can be calm through it, communicate pretty well.
Right.
But
Was it so?
But clearly she loved you.
Yeah.
And she did not want to let that go.
yeah.
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 So maybe that was the ego on her part too.
Could be.
Yeah.
Right.
I try not to put my ego in their shoes.
Right. It's
But you
already
can't-
hard
but-
enough dealing with
yeah.
this damn thing.
Yeah, but you shared this relationship with one another. Did you notice it going awry like toward the last year?
Yeah. So we were together 3.5 years at
Right.
the time we first started, talking, hanging out, whatever. But there's the last year I've had two of my best friends get married where I've been the best man in their wedding and very aware of their relationships. And like, you could just kind of tell like how healthy it was and how things were with them. And I kind of was like questioning myself so much and like hesitating to get engaged or married. And it's like, well, why am I just so comfortable in this that I'm still in the relationship, but I haven't stepped one way or the other? So over the last year, it just kind of started, bubbling up internally. And my friends would ask, her friends would ask, like, what's next? What's going on? It's
Right.
like,
And you guys didn't even talk about that yet, huh? 'Cause you guys were like, we don't even talk to each other about that.
we did a little last year. We even looked at rings a little bit and did that type of thing. But there's something unsettling there that I think my ego pushed away. It's like, oh, you don't need to deal with this little uncomfortableness. Just kind of push through, do what society says, and date, get married, and live happily ever after.
It sounds like the classic case that O'Brien Mills wasn't ready.
And that is part of it. I think that's a good portion of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simply not ready. I mean, I feel like 26 is still pretty young. I know all of our parents are like, we got married and we were 21. We've been together 60 years. It's like, well, not everyone has that same plan of life where they got it figured out then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's parts of my life that I feel in control of or aware of more. And other parts I'm like, I'm still digging that bag up. I'm still going through those shadows.
And I mean, and kudos on you, because I think that's probably what leads to most divorces is people are searching for that. They want it, but they don't even check to see if that's the right compatible person for them. And they get in there and they fall into the norms. And it's just like, do I really want to do this now with this person? Yeah. Well, I mean.
And that's what I've seen too. I've seen at least one of my friends and one guy I know who dated a girl. And in the time Sally and I dated, they got married and divorced, and he got remarried in like a 34-year period. And I was like, I don't want that. I got to avoid that. You know, that's a lot of heartache and
It's just a big decision.
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you plan on having a child with this person and build this whole infrastructure. And if it's not right, it's not right.
Right.
Yeah. I would definitely say take your time at this point.
Yeah. And one other thing I kind of want to mention too is that we talk about like spirituality and finding that. It's like some of that is really keeping in touch with your inner self. Like, hey, is this really what I want, or is this me pleasing someone?
Right.
Because I think that can be your ego too. You want to be known as a nice guy,
Right.
right? You want to be known as that guy. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
well, if you please everyone and just do what they want over what you feel or think or kind of need, yeah, you're going to become that guy, but at what cost?
Right.
So when you finally mustered up the courage to break it off, you think a lot of it kept you there because of just the routine about it?
Yeah. I mean, it was good to come home to Sally and the dog and, go through those same motions every day and hang out with the same friend group. That was a good friend group because when nothing like detrimental to that relationship happened, it was different,
Are you guys still friends now? You talk?
Not so much. I don't know if it's a healthy place until would ever be ready for,
Right.
to be ready, not just with that relationship, but with any
Right.
to kind of keep the door open. I don't want to do that.
Send mixed signals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't want to be that guy.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I know a lot of people are going through something like this. How have you been coping with it? Like, what are some of the things that help you get through like a breakup?
Just in case somebody's watching this and they go,
Yeah.
what did he do to
Get through his.
get through his?
Yeah, it's a good question. Because you never know what you're going to need until you're there.
Right.
Right.
But, having good friends is huge. I've got a couple of good buddies, and you guys included in this, but just checking in and like really asking how you are and wanting to know what they can do to help, or if they need to be, an ear to listen, or if you want to hear advice or whatever. A lot of it I kind of put into spirituality too, that inner work with myself, learning how to be alone, learning how to, control the emotions or, let emotion arise and recognize it and don't live in it.
Right.
I think we talked about this a little last night or sometime. If you let an emotion arise and you keep thinking about that emotion, it turns into a mood.
Yeah.
And that mood's going to carry you through the day.
Yeah.
So
It's going
Right.
to dictate everything. That damn temporary freaking mood.
Yeah.
It's a disgusting thing.
it can be.
It can be, but it's a part of us.
Yeah.
It's
And
natural. Yeah.
I always remind myself, and I do this to today, even when you guys remind me,
Yeah.
I stay in that mood and I finally go, you know what, they're right. Why the hell am I in this mood? And I get out of it
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Whether I lie to myself to get out of it, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm not going to have my whole day be like this. I'm getting out of this shit right away. But I'm also forgiving of myself and say, you know what? I'm entitled to this mood. I'll stay in it for a little bit longer until I'm good and ready, but I'm not going to do this all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good.
Because we played, one of our people haven't heard this music yet. Brian is a lucky person. But we
Fair.
played a song that if you're in this angry mood, the song almost keeps you in it, but it has you thinking different through your anger.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of transports you through a couple different emotions while you're still in that one emotion.
Right.
Yeah.
Saying it's okay. I mean, when I wrote this song, it literally, when I wrote it, it's like, it's okay to be in this angry mood. But while we're in it, let's learn something from it.
Yeah.
You know?
And be in the mood as long as this song is playing. So it's like a
Right.
3-4 minute song, and then, be done with it.
Right.
There's no more, just get out of it.
And when you feel that way, I'm always here waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can meditate this.
Yeah.
You know, let me ask another couple of, I know we're going to be running short on time here, so let me ask you a couple of questions here. They may or may not make sense to you because they're so random. That's what we are, is random. I
Love it.
gather you know this already.
Yeah.
So, you ever have any paranormal experiences?
Off the bat, can't think of anything, but I know my dad has had multiple.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy ones. And he's had people witness them even.
Oh.
He said so.
Is this at his home or
His childhood home.
his childhood home?
Yeah.
Do you know
Pretty
any,
serious.
like, you could tell us that he would be cool with?
One that sticks out that will just send the shivers down me bones.
I would love to have him tell the story. 'Cause
Okay,
He's
yeah.
pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I
But
think we're going to have his pops on.
Yeah, we got to get him
in
on.
essence, though, his paranormal activity experiences have been a lot of when he's dreaming.
Oh,
Right.
And they kind of
okay.
take over him and his actions and things that happen.
Wow.
Wow.
Pretty wild. But like he'll wake up and there'll be resemblance of this dream in real life. You know, something was left open or something was moved in the room, and it's
Oh,
like
he's like remote viewing or tapping into a different.
that's what it seems like. Yeah,
That'll be good.
So, but you said he also had NDE experiences.
yeah. I know he's had at least one, maybe two, and
Oh.
I think one is related to paranormal.
Wow.
We're going to have you and your dad back. You know
Yeah.
this. And I'm going to trip out if he's Jimmy Johnson. Because I'm a Hendrix fan.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Could you imagine if
this whole time you were lying to us and
Yeah.
your dad is Jimmy Johnson.
Blew the cover.
it's like, man, you do have the money, you bastard.
Dare you?
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, would you want just your dad, or you want to be here with him?
I want them both here.
Yeah, I think
It's a good dynamic.
yeah.
And he would be comfortable with his son here. And,
Yeah, he's told my friends a few times. Like I would take my friends over, back when we were kids riding bikes around town. I'd take the guys over and say, "Dad, tell them about that one time."
Yeah.
Because I know
yeah.
they're all gonna be looking at him like, "No way."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to sleep tonight. I don't want to go to bed tonight knowing that.
Jeez.
Let me ask you this: how do you view humanity
In its current condition.
in its current condition? Where are we going? What are we doing?
I think we're beating each other up way too much. We're not just being humans and letting emotion, or I guess maybe we're doing too much of letting emotions flow and not just checking ourselves and realizing other people's got baggage and situations and things they're going to. But I feel like we're dividing a lot more than we ever have, hiding behind screens and social media and platforms that we can say and do whatever we want with no repercussion.
Right.
Unless you get canceled, because everyone's getting canceled. But I think there's not like a lot of community, which is on the most basic form, which is what humans need.
Yeah.
But we're just kind of clicking those off into their own separate categories
And
everywhere.
that's strange coming from a 26-year-old,
Right.
because
Right, but is it though?
No,
I
but-
think
but-
there's this
but
mass
people-
awakening that it's just
but people put the younger youth in this particular box as they're the ones that's doing this to us. And it's not. It's just certain people out there that choose to do this.
Right. I think more people have to do more listening and less responding.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
when you listen to somebody speak, just listen. Like, you don't have to have something to say every fucking time, you know? People just want to be heard. And I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just listen and don't cancel somebody over what they're saying. It's their idea, it's their opinion. Like, it may not match yours, but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's how you get perspective too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how people learn and grow. They want to know what other people think. Yeah, you don't believe the same thing I believe, but I still love you.
Yeah.
You know?
And we can still have this relationship outside those beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Two more questions.
Yeah.
Who taught you to love?
Really, it had to be, like spirituality, like God's love for people. I think I found that in college, just because like there's an ever-ending greatness and merciful, forgiveness and like all welcoming type of love there. And it's like, that's kind of how I walk life now. Like when I go to my work audits and stuff, it's like whoever I meet, like I want them to know that love is there, like,
right.
And it could be in the most professional sense ever, just like extending a helping hand. But it's like, that guy's he's a little different,
Yeah.
Like there's something about him that I feel.
Yeah.
So I kind of put that image in my mind of like, how would, a greater power handle a situation in a way that would enlighten it?
Yeah.
So you were saying love was kind of downloaded into you from a source?
I mean, I felt it like
Right.
from him,
Right.
In college, there was a point like I felt like I just messed up a lot. I was doing things I shouldn't be doing. I wasn't respecting people and like, just partying too much and like getting caught up in the ego. And it's like,
Right.
God help me, help me clear my mind and get my vision set clear and not hurt people or anything. And it's like, I don't know what happened, but there was like a hand reached down on the shoulder and said, it's okay, come back to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Get back on the path, follow your guardrails. And
Yeah.
that felt like love to me, like someone taking care, respecting and honoring and being merciful toward me. It's like,
Yeah.
that must be love.
Yeah.
I love the different answers that we get
Yeah.
every time we ask this question.
Yeah. And remember, I was saying it was all based on those people's belief, but we all have this common thing of love.
Right.
That's why I just think it's all just one big old piece of source.
It's in our DNA.
One big mass of ass kicking love.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Downloaded into you.
Yeah.
Downloaded.
When he had his NDE experience, he says Source took an Ethernet cable and put it right up his ass, and immediately he was like, "Oh,
With spiritual loop.
I don't agree why they would put it in that spot." I mean, I can hold the Ethernet
sure
cable
I
and
could.
get the same result, but
Let me tell you something. It was beautiful.
who taught you to hate?
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah, but it's out there.
It's
It
a
is
strong
out
word,
there.
but it's there. It's
Do you-
tangible,
do-
my good sir.
Do you prefer negative?
I don't have a preference.
Yeah.
But I do have a due diligence of when I would use the word hate versus not. But I don't know. I try not to hate anything. Try not to.
But you had to have picked this emotion or this feeling up of the word and somebody or something.
Well, I think of it as like the opposite of love.
Right.
If it's the opposite of love, it's nothing I want to be near to.
Yeah,
Nothing
but-
I want to be associated with.
but-
So
but-
why?
You didn't learn it
Yeah,
from
but-
any.
Where did you learn it from?
I mean,
I get what you're saying, but you know what I
most
mean?
People, at least in my experience working with people, is you experience hate from pain, from someone doing you wrong or not loving you. And then it's like, oh, I hate this. I hate
Ooh,
that
okay.
because it makes me feel this way or it
Right.
made me feel that way. And it's like, now I resent that. I don't want anything a part of that. So I hate it.
So you're saying we as humanity taught you how to hate.
I could see, I would agree with
One
that.
of our
No, I agree
subscribers
with
put that in the comment section.
Yeah.
She said something about pain. If it was a she, I don't remember, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pain could do that. Pain could make you just say, I'm in so much pain. I hate this pain. I hate that I'm in this situation. Doesn't necessarily have to be a person.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
You got something positive you want to say for the people watching?
There's so much, man.
Go
try to
for
be-
it.
Try to be as positive as I can. I would highly encourage people to work on their inner self, recognize what you're doing and why you're doing it. It doesn't have to be at all times, but check in,
Mhm.
be on a path that you're okay with and that you're on board with. Because, man, just like I've seen with myself and other people, you get that ego on the shoulder, let that monkey drive,
You're right.
and take you to places you don't want to end up. Especially like people my age or even any age, really. You could be making a decision that's driving you places you don't want to go. But if you can check in, do some inner work, take some time to reflect,
Right.
ask questions that don't always need answered, but they need recognized, and just keep going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing in this world to be, honestly, is yourself.
Yeah.
With all these
100%.
influences, maybe I should start asking the question, who are you?
Yeah. Outside of the label you're given, who are you really?
Who are you? Like, who are you?
That I think that question pairs alongside of how are you and questions that never get answered truthfully.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because no one knows.
Yeah. How are you really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Deep down, how are you
Yeah.
feeling in this moment? What are those emotions? And same thing with who are you? It's like, well, I'm Brian who's living here, and
Right.
who I am right now. I'm a guy on a podcast.
Right.
Right.
Two kick-ass brothers,
Yeah. In the moment.
And
In
that's
the
who I
moment.
am right now.
I would
Right.
encourage the listeners to, when you pass someone on the street and you ask them, how are you? Be sincere about it and really ask them,
Right.
how are you? I'm not just throwing this out there for fluff. I really want to know how you are.
Because if somebody asks me, who am I? I'm going to say, and this is just me because I know I'm a little bit more aware than others. I'm going to say, I am you, I am him, her, this environment. I am everything that we are, because if I'm looking at all this data and this feedback, I am everything we are saying. I am everything we are creating. I am everything that comes from one single origin. This is who I am. I am is us.
If I could take this mic and drop it, I think I would, and that'd be the end.
Yeah. And on that note,
Yeah.
give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like it.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Ring the bell. Brian, do you want to ring the bell?
Ring the bell again.
Ring.
There you go. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also,
It's
just
liberating, man.
so you guys know, the Patreon is up.
Yes.
Feel
it is.
free to support if you want to.
$1. My wife always says, why do you say 75 cents on the dollar? Are you taxing people? I go, baby, I don't know nothing about numbers. Why are you
Yeah.
always doing this to me?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm dumb as hell when it comes
Yeah.
to numbers.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I do know the soul.
Yeah.
I like to think I
That's
know the
true.
soul.
We'll catch you on the next podcast.
Yes,
I
we
hope
will.
you enjoyed this one.
Yeah. We're going to have Brian and his dad back as soon as possible. I promise you guys. We got to get these stories.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Peace.